Hi, Jessica Skelton, WordPress website designer and program instructor here. And over the last few weeks, I have gotten a lot of questions about how to plan to take a leave of absence, for lack of better terms, from your business. So I am recording this video right now. It is July 29th, 2020. That's important because if you do not know, I'm actually getting ready to have a baby a little less than a month towards the end of August. So this has been something that I've been actively doing in my business, trying to figure out how how a quote-unquote maternity leave looks when you're self-employed. I do have a son. I have a 2.5-year-old son, and I worked in a more corporate setting when I had him, so I had a more traditional FMLA style leave of absence. I took a leave of 8 weeks, and to be quite honest, that felt really long to me, and I didn't really like my maternity leave. Don't get me wrong, I really loved and cherished that time that I got to spend with him, and I wouldn't have traded it for the world. But I am a very routine and structure oriented person, and I felt like I really wasn't very good at creating a structure and a routine for myself while I was at home on leave. And really, by the end of that 8 weeks, I was very, very, very ready to get back in a daily routine, a schedule, to get myself up out of bed, out of my pajamas, eating regularly, drinking water, all the things that keep you both physically and mentally healthy. I was really ready to get back into that. So back in December, when I found out that I was pregnant, honestly, pregnancy was not planned, so I didn't have a whole lot of thoughts in mind about how I wanted that leave to look this time around. But of course, I had my past experience to look back on, and I knew that the option of just stopping working was probably not the best option for me. In many ways. For one, I very much so need my income for my family. It's necessary in our finances for my income to be present. So I couldn't just stop collecting an income. And also I knew from that past experience that I really didn't crave that break, especially now that I was in a career that felt much more aligned with who I wanted to be as a person and like my personal values and goals. I didn't feel like I needed a break, which is great. That means that I love what I'm doing. So really I went through, I kind of made some notes before pulling this video together because I tried to record it yesterday and I was so disorganized. It was a hot mess. So I really went through like 5 major options for taking a quote-unquote maternity leave. That's what I'm going to call it, just for lack of better terms, just a maternity leave. And these 5 options, I want to preface this by saying that not a single one of these options is a bad option. They just didn't all work for me and my family situation, my financial situation, what I wanted to do, all those things. So first, we already talked about the first option was just going without income. Just like when the time came, stop working, make sure I had clients on board, or either like stop taking clients at some point, or just like tell my clients like, hey, if you're scheduling with me during the August time period, we may just have to stop working for a couple weeks because I have a baby. We'll, jump back into it. That, I know people that do that and that works and it's fine. I didn't want to. It didn't work for me. Didn't want to go without income, and I didn't like the idea of just stopping projects. The next was a similar approach, but raising my prices so that I could save money and then not have to feel like I was going without income, but then also just taking that active break and walking away from working for a while. And although that was feasible and I did end up raising my prices regardless, I don't want to take that break, to be honest. I knew, and I don't know that I'll have the right words to say what I mean here is I knew that I wanted to take a break from client work just because other people's expectations of me really have a major impact on like what goes on in my head. I think about them often, and I didn't want to feel like other people thought that I wasn't working on a timeline that worked for them. I knew that especially in the very fragile time of postpartum, when your hormones are doing crazy things and your brain plays tricks on you, I did not want to deal with that. Not interested. Because I knew that me personally, I would not handle it well. Someone else may be able to handle it like a pro, but I would not. So just having that active client work that I had to more or less take a break from was not what I wanted to do. And the third option kind of went hand in hand with that, of continuing to like actively work in client projects right up to my due date, but to like intentionally work with flexible clients that knew that I would have to, when I sent the email said it's time, like, then that would mean that I wasn't going to work for a couple weeks and I was just gonna be coming back, at whatever date. And again, those client expectations would have gotten the best of me. I wasn't interested in that option. The fourth option, so right before I found out that I was pregnant, I had launched my website disaster pack, which is a low ticket offer, for lack of better terms. It's a $57 product that teaches you how to do WordPress website maintenance and how to maintain your own website and how to maintain websites for others. It's actually a very popular product for other web designers to learn that skill so that they can sell it, which is great. I love that. And so this was the first option that I really actively pursued, because the first three were pretty much out for me right away. I just knew that they didn't align with what I needed mentally, emotionally. So this product, like I mentioned, it was $57. I had a funnel built where people could get it at a discount. I built this funnel into like my freebie and promoted the crap out of my freebie. I put money in ads behind both an ad for my freebie, as well as I switched to like some straight to paid advertising where I was just actively advertising the disaster pack. And overall, that went really well. I was really happy with my ROI, the numbers that I was getting. I was making solid money, but it was a lot more back-end work than I expected to be in comparison with how uninvolved I was with my students. It's typically like, it's just the nature of those types of products that you don't have a lot, like there's not a group coaching element. I could have made a Facebook group, but I didn't. There wasn't that community factor, and especially in the world of online business, like that's my social interaction. I don't have coworkers that I meet face to face with, and I really missed that. And I felt like, as much as I loved how the numbers looked on implementing a process for scaling that low ticket offer, it just didn't give me what I needed. It would have been really, easy to turn it on, have passive income, and go forward. And I might still experiment with how I can implement that back into my business later as like an additional piece. I actually probably will. But for right now, like, it's still an active offer, but I'm not financially promoting it. Doing paid advertising is what I meant to say. But just because it didn't check all my boxes for what I wanted to do. And I knew that my long-term plan for my business was to have some sort of course element. I really liked that the course instructor lifestyle. I don't know if that's what I want to say or not, but I liked the idea of hosting a community like that, being a program instructor, and I wanted that. I didn't feel like my disaster pack course gave me all the pieces that I wanted from it, though. So then I moved into number 5, my 5th option, which has ultimately been what I've decided and what I've moved forward in scaling and growing and getting ready over this next month to just drive me straight into my maternity leave, quote unquote. And that was scaling my website build coaching services, as well as building, implementing, and scaling my course for website designers, the Profitable Web Designer program. On the coaching side, I'll touch on that first because I haven't talked about it yet. Website build coaching has been something that I've offered for several months. It's cheaper than having a custom build because I more or less teach people how to build their own websites. We go through a 4-weekish program. It consists of 4 Zoom calls that are typically a week apart. Sometimes it ends up being a little different, but and on those Zoom calls, we go through your website together. We build out the back end and the front end, and you learn all the things. This was something that I had previously offered to people whom I had pitched custom build services, but I wasn't in their budget, so it was just more of a back end offer. So I put in some work to bring this offer to the front end and offer it more upfront instead of my custom builds. And that has worked well. I've sold quite a bit of coaching packages over the last couple of months. That's been a great source of income for me and a great way for me to work with business owners that I typically would not have been able to work with because my services were not in their budget. And then it also allowed me to have a service that I could provide with a baby in my lap, because I was just getting on Zoom calls, answering Voxer messages, answering emails, those types of things. There wasn't like someone needed me to do X, Y, and Z by a certain deadline. All I had to do was show up, and I can do that. So that has been a really great key element in my plan for maternity leave, is to just continue working on that. And because it's a aspect of my business that I know that I can show up and continue to produce regardless of the circumstances, unless I was actually in the hospital, then some things might have to get rescheduled. But other than that, it was okay. And then the other half of that piece is my program, the Profitable Website Designer program. And this is a course that I've had in mind for several months, and I honestly kept putting it off because of so many factors. COVID-19, I felt like it wasn't a good time. I didn't have the mental capacity. I had a grandmother who was placed on hospice that moved into my mom's house, and if you don't know, I work from my mom's house every day because she watches my son. And so there was a lot going on in my personal life that felt like that was a huge barrier to getting this course off the ground. And back in, I guess, like beginning to mid-May, I decided to just say, screw it, I'm just going for it, and just did it anyways, and decided to take the time and make it happen and make it work. And now I have a viable course that's out there that I'm working on scaling and getting people in to have that as a source of income for my business. And it also checks those boxes that the disaster pack did not check for me, because it has a very large community aspect to it. There's a very active Facebook group. There's coaching calls that I can show up and feel like I'm getting that social interaction that I'm looking for in my business, as well as the structure and the flexibility, which I know it seems a little counterintuitive, but it's giving me the flexibility to be in control of the expectations that are asked of me, but then also the structure of having expectations asked of me. So that is ultimately how I came to that decision for myself. Like I said, all of those 5 things that I talked through, going without income, raising your prices to save money so that you can take a break and still have like a cushion, continuing to work with flexible clients, scaling a low ticket offer, or kind of a beautiful combination of the coaching and the course program. All of those are viable options that for someone else may be a great thing. It may be the exact blessing that they're looking for, but ultimately only that last option was going to check all of the boxes for me. So that's how my brain worked through those options, those thoughts. I hope this was helpful. I know that there's a lot of women in business out there that are navigating this weird space of trying to figure out how to have a baby and have a business. So let me know what you think. Let me know if this is helpful for you. If there's any other information that I can share to make that a similar transition easier for you, let me know, and I'm happy to help.